Hi, this is Adam, and I want to talk from a historical perspective of which president I would have wanted during the COVID pandemic, and it's Eisenhower. Um, Eisenhower all the way, because if I look at history, the way he handled polio and then the Asian flu pandemic was amazing. So back in the 1950s, there was and before that, there was polio outbreaks in America, killing I think 30 to 40,000 Americans a year. That's nothing compared to COVID, but it affected children. It killed a lot of children. Had them have very, you know, sometimes paralyzing them. And in 1952, there was a polio outbreak that was so bad that Eisenhower shut down schools and churches and movie theaters, and he once the polio vaccine came out, I think in 1953, he immediately made it mandatory for pretty much everyone, and it's kind of like what Biden was doing, um, where if you wanted to go to work, you had to get the vaccine. If you wanted to go to school, you had to get the vaccine. Now, of course, the polio vaccine was tested for 3 or 4 years before it was released to the. I think about 3 years before it was released to the public, and that was the fastest vaccine ever created at that point. I think besides smallpox, because the guy just discovered, cowpox. If someone gets cowpox, they don't get smallpox, and then just took some cowpox from cows and started inoculating people with that. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Eisenhower immediately did that, and then when the Asian flu pandemic came in 1957, he again shut down some business, some schools and stuff like that. He left businesses open, but he made the flu shot mandatory for everyone to get, and we still had nearly 200,000 deaths from that pandemic. But I mean, can you think about how bad it would have been if he didn't do that? So, what do I think he would have done with the COVID pandemic? Well, I think as soon as Eisenhower knew that COVID was going to be a big deal, like the military let Trump know, hey, this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be serious. A lot of people are going to die from this. You need to act right now. I think no matter what would have gone on, he would have immediately shut down. Eisenhower would have immediately shut down all international travel. Um, Immediately closed down the country. Immediately did a lockdown right then. Then that would have been early January of 2020, and he would have he would have done a harsher lockdown, a harsher shutdown for months on end. It probably would have been very similar to Australia, maybe, or one of those countries that locked down very heavily. And he would have maybe only allowed people who absolutely needed to go out to go out. So farmers, stuff like that. He would have probably made it to where you couldn't go into the grocery store. You had to get your food delivered outside of the grocery store. And he probably would have done that until the vaccines came out. The vaccines coming out. And he would have probably made the vaccines mandatory, probably earlier than Biden did. He would have done exactly what Biden did, except for without the option of testing for COVID. Because Biden said, okay, if you have 100 or more employees, you can either do a vaccine or testing. Eisenhower would have not done the testing. He would have said, okay, everyone has to get the vaccine in order to work. And that's just that's the way he would operate. And I think that if Eisenhower was, or someone like Eisenhower was president during the COVID pandemic, we probably only have maybe at the most 300,000 deaths from COVID. He would have saved a lot of lives. I mean, of course, you can't save everybody, but I think he would have had maybe we may have been at the most 300,000 deaths at this point in America. So um, I really hope that we get another president like that, like Eisenhower, who was quick to action and handled epidemics and pandemics really well. I mean, at least in modern history. I don't know of any other president that has handled pandemics and all that stuff really well. And who made the vaccines. Now, of course, now Eisenhower was a little too over top with the vaccine mandates. He was the king of vaccine mandates. I don't really agree with him too much on that, but I'm just saying that's what he would have done from a historical perspective. I would have allowed natural immunity if I was the president, someone who had natural immunity to work. Um, if I would have had people who haven't had the vaccine maybe work as truck drivers or something outside. I wouldn't want people who, if I were the Eisenhower kind of president, I wouldn't want people who haven't had the vaccine or who haven't had COVID um, yet. I wouldn't want them near nursing homes, stuff like that. I wouldn't want them near any of that stuff.